Hello, Cougars. This is part 3 of the book, Fish Do the Strangest Things. In the second video, we learned about the alligator gar, the catfish, the king salmon, the grunion, and the freshwater eel. I hope you enjoy this last part of the book. This chapter is called The Balloon. The puffer fish is small. He is a slow swimmer, but he has a wonderful way of keeping himself safe. When he sees a big fish coming, he does not swim away. He just puffs himself up. He does this by swallowing air or water. This makes him look like a balloon. The big fish may be scared away by this sudden change. If the big fish is not scared away, he will find that the round puffer is quite a mouthful. The strangest puffer of all is called the porcupine fish. His skin is covered with sharp scales. When he puffs himself up, his scales stick out all over. Any fish that swallowed him would have a very sore throat. Sometimes puffers do a silly thing. They keep on puffing up until, pop, goes the puffer. Old Big Nose. The swordfish has the longest and sharpest nose in the world of fish. It is really part of his jaw. It has 2 very sharp edges. It is shaped like a big flat sword, and the swordfish uses it like a sword. Into a school of fish the mighty swordfish swims. He slashes his sword all around. Soon he has cut up a fine meal for himself. The swordfish likes to eat fish, and many people like to eat swordfish. But swordfish are not easy to catch. Nets cannot hold them. They slash their way out with their swords. Today, men have learned how to catch swordfish with hooks. This is much safer for men than it used to be. Swordfish used to be speared with harpoons. Often the swordfish would fight back. He might even attack the boat. The swordfish is so fast and so strong that he can run his sword right into a wooden boat. Sometimes sailors on the boat were badly hurt. Sometimes the boat would even sink to the bottom of the sea. The swordfish's sword is a mighty weapon, but he is not born with it. The baby swordfish has teeth. As he grows, so does his sword. He loses his teeth. He does not need teeth with that sword. The fish with wings. The flying fish looks like a little model airplane, but the flying fish does not fly, he glides. The flying fish swims to the top of the water as fast as he can. He skims along for a bit, and then he flips his tail and up he goes. We think the flying fish leaves the water to get away from his enemies. He can stay in the air for almost a minute. Then down he comes with a splash. Often he will just flip his tail and take off again. The winds may carry him high above the water. Sometimes at night, flying fish will glide right onto the deck of a boat. They may have gotten away from a hungry dolphin, but now they will be a wonderful breakfast for a hungry sailor. Flying saucers. Rays are strange-looking fish. Some of them are very small. Some of them are very big. Most of them are very, very flat. The round stingray is a small ray. He is as round and flat as a plate. He lives along the seashore. He likes muddy water. He is the color of mud. It is hard to see him lying flat in the mud. It is not hard for the stingray to see you. His eyes are on top of his head. This helps him watch out for enemies. There's his eyes right on top. The stingray has a strange way of fighting his enemies. He fights with his tail. On his tail, he has a stinger. There is poison on the stinger. It is a terrible weapon. People may step on round stingrays by mistake. People who do can be badly hurt. If you think there are stingrays around, drag your feet. The rays will get out of your way. Like everyone else, the stingray does not like to be stepped on. The little round stingray does not go out into the deep sea, but there are many rays that do. The sea is the home of the biggest ray of all. He is the manta ray. He is called the giant devilfish. He has no stinger. Oh, that sounds fierce, but he is not. He has no stinger, and he eats only very small fish. He sweeps them into his mouth as he swims. It is wonderful to watch a manta swimming. His sides flap up and down like huge wings. He looks like a big black bat flying underwater. An even stranger thing to see is a manta leaping. He jumps high in the air. When the giant manta comes down, he comes down with a giant crash. Sometimes 2 or 3 mantas will all leap at once. The great crash of their landing sounds like thunder across the sea. The hanger-on. In the sea, there is a tiny fish that does not look like a fish. He is called a seahorse. When you see him, you know why. His head is like the head of a tiny, tiny horse, but the rest of him is not shaped like a horse. It is not shaped like a fish either. It is just strange. One very strange thing about a seahorse is his tail. He can hang on to things with it the way a monkey can. Most of the time, the seahorse just hangs on to plants underwater. When he wants to go to another plant, he lets go. He swims away. He does not swim the way other fish do. It looks as if he is standing on his tail, and he swims very slowly. There is only one part of a seahorse that moves fast. It is the tiny fin on his back. Back and forth it goes. It pushes the seahorse through the water to another plant. Right there. It is lucky that the slow seahorse does not have to chase his food. He just sucks in bits of food that float by. He has no teeth. The slow, toothless little seahorse cannot fight off enemies. But bigger fish have trouble seeing him. He hides in the plants and seaweed. Some seahorses can even change their color. They can change to the color of the plants. The strangest thing about a seahorse is the way their babies are born. The mother seahorse lays about 200 eggs. She lays them in a little pocket in the father's stomach. He carries them around until they hatch. Then the baby seahorses wiggle and twist in the father's pocket. To help them get out, the father wiggles and twists too. The babies pop out into the sea. Right away, the baby seahorses start grabbing at things with their tails. They have not learned what to hold on to. They may even try to hold on to air bubbles. They soon learn. They find a plant, they hang on to it, and watch the underwater world go by. The tree climber. You never know where you may find a fish, but what a surprise it would be to find a fish in a tree. It happens. There really is a fish that can climb a tree. His name is a mud skipper. The mud skipper climbs trees to catch insects. He pulls himself up the tree with his front fins. They are almost like little legs. He cannot climb very high, but it is amazing that a fish can climb a tree at all. The mud skipper spends some time in the water, but he is out of the water as much as he is in it. He walks and skips and jumps around on the mud flats. When he wants to skip quickly, he pushes himself along with his tail. He can skip faster than a man can follow him. It is a funny sight to see a mud skipper skip. The mud skipper does so many things that are strange for a fish to do. Do you suppose the mudfisher knows that he is a fish? The little doctor. Most little fish get out of the way when they see a big fish coming. Most little fish are afraid the big fish will eat them. Most of the time, the little fish are right. But there is one little fish that goes right up to the big fish. He puts his head in the big fish's mouth. He even swims between the teeth of the terrible moray eel. This strange little fish is called a wrasse. His name really should be the little doctor fish. The little doctor cleans the teeth of the bigger fish. He cleans their eyes, he cleans their fins, he takes away little things which are growing on the other fish. These things would make the fish sick if the little doctor did not clean them off. That is why the wrasse is not bitten by the big fish. They seem to know that he is helping them. They even wait their turn to see him. They are like people waiting in a real doctor's office. It is wonderful to think that fish have their own doctors, but this is only one of the wonders of the fish world. Men have always wanted to know more about the world of fish. It is a big world. There is more water in the world than there is land. Men now think we too will be able to live under the water someday. If this ever happens, who can tell what strange new things we will find out about our neighbors, the fish. I hope you enjoyed the book, The Fish Do the Strangest Things. Have a great day.